In just a couple of hours from now, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese will meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping face-to-face in Bali on the fringes of the G20 meeting. Just the fact that they are meeting represents a thawing in relations, an obvious attempt by Beijing to rekindle its relationship with our country. There hasn't been a leader-to-leader meeting between our two countries since Malcolm Turnbull was Prime Minister 6 years ago. There's been precious little ministerial contact too. The Albanese-Xi meeting comes a day after a long meeting between US President Joe Biden and the Chinese president, which was another encouraging sign of Chinese engagement with the free world. It's important to note that Australia's trouble with China is all on Beijing. The communist superpower has responded belligerently to our sovereign national security decisions. It's attempted to interfere in our democracy. It's arrested our citizens. It's employed wolf warrior diplomacy, and it's hurt us with economic sanctions for simply daring to express our views, including on the need to properly investigate the origins of COVID-19. From Canberra, there's been bipartisan resolve on China, and it's been heartening to see Labor continue with a strong stance since winning government. As far as we can see, Albanese has conceded nothing in order to get this meeting. And the Prime Minister should not concede anything except a willingness to get the relationship back to a normal setting.
We enter this discussion with goodwill. There are no preconditions on this discussion. I'm looking forward to having constructive dialogue.
Yeah, that's the right approach. Australia should cede no ground in this meeting and just firmly invite China to begin lifting its economic sanctions against us. We've handled the economic test of these sanctions perhaps better than many expected, and there's just a chance that the sanctions are hurting Chinese interests more than our own, especially when it comes to coal supplies. So let's hope that tonight's meeting goes well, that Albanese makes no apologies, and that China starts to wind back the idea that it needs to punish us. Last night, Defence Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles made it clear that Labor intends to remain tough on security while pursuing better diplomatic and economic relations.
But a commitment to stabilising our relationship with China does not mean we won't also maintain a clear-eyed focus on our security. The idea that Australia has to choose between diplomacy and defence, or as some critics would have it, between cooperation and confrontation, is a furphy and a dangerous one at that.
Now, this speech by Marles at the annual Sydney Institute dinner was a strong and reassuring expression of Labor's security intentions at a perilous time.
The world around us has become more uncertain and more precarious than at any time since the end of the Second World War.
The Defence Minister committed Labor to spending more on defence, modernising our weaponry, increasing ADF personnel numbers and ensuring we are proactive as a partner in the US alliance. Importantly, he removed any doubts about Labor's commitment to the nuclear subs program.
In March next year, the Prime Minister and I will announce, with the United Kingdom and the United States, the optimal pathway for developing this capability. Nuclear-powered submarines will be an essential part of Australia's naval capability, providing an unmatched strategic advantage in terms of surveillance and protection of our maritime approaches. This capability will revolutionise the potency of the ADF and greatly enhance our sovereignty.
Yeah, that's comforting to hear. And again, given this is another Australian decision that Beijing doesn't like, it's important that the government's been prepared to announce these intentions again loudly and clearly, even while the Prime Minister prepares to eyeball President Xi. So far, so good from Labor on foreign policy and the pivotal but fraught China relationship. But these tensions will need to be navigated deftly for many years to come.